To protect their daughter, the parents locked her inside a machine barely 10 square meters wide. Even when delivering supplies each day, they would always stay far away. No physical contact was allowed at all. Because the daughter was born with respiratory failure, she could only breathe air filtered by the purification chamber. They thought she'd be stuck in this coffin for life. But then something unexpected happened. That day the chamber suddenly lit up. Even scarier, they saw through the glass a yellow gas suddenly pouring into the streets, and all that gas was being released from the city's sewer system. Anyone who inhaled it collapsed instantly. The father, who was outside, was completely stunned. But before he could even take a step, a much larger gas cloud came rushing toward him. In just a blink, it was already right in front of him. The streets descended into total chaos. The man ran for his life toward home. When he got there, he quickly pulled his wife away from the window. The next second, the gas cloud blurred the glass, and it seeped into the house through every crack. Thankfully, the daughter was protected by the chamber. The man switched it to power-saving mode, then grabbed his wife and rushed to escape. Seeing the gas surging up the building, they had no choice but to run to the higher floors. Eventually, they made it to the rooftop. An elderly couple lived there. They kindly let them in without hesitation. The mother quickly grabbed the radio to ask how her daughter was. Once she knew everything was fine, she finally let out a sigh of relief. They stepped out onto the balcony. Looking at the horror beneath their feet, they were speechless. But that wasn't even the worst part. The man climbed up to the roof and looked out across the city. All he saw was a blanket of toxic fog. It looked like paradise, but it was a death trap. The poison had knocked out power across the city. Though the girl was fine inside the chamber, the backup battery wouldn't last the night, so the man planned to hold his breath and go downstairs to swap the battery. He stepped into the hallway and tested a wisp of smoke. The gas was colorless and odorless, but definitely toxic. It would take 15 minutes for a full round trip. No one could hold their breath that long. Then he remembered. An old man downstairs always kept oxygen tanks at home. To save his daughter, he decided to climb down the pipe and risk it. As he reached the fog, he took one deep breath, then held it tight. Soon he reached the right floor, broke the window and got inside. Just as he started looking, he saw someone lying on the ground. He rushed over and realized it was the old man, but he was already dead. The man didn't have time to grieve. He was about to run out of breath himself. Worse yet, the oxygen tank the old man always carried was nowhere to be found. Panic set in. He turned on his flashlight and searched everywhere, but after tearing the place apart, still nothing. Just as he was about to pass out, he finally found a tank in the corner. He wasted no time, strapped on the mask, twisted the valve, and took a deep breath just in time. Once he caught his breath, he packed an extra tank, but just as he was leaving, he heard a sound from the bedroom. Driven by curiosity, he grabbed a hammer and opened the door, only to find a small dog. Strangely, the dog was perfectly fine, and even wagging its tail. Could animals be immune to the gas? But then he saw something that crushed that theory. The mother dog was already dead. Though confused, he didn't have time to think. He rushed back home and swapped in the backup battery for his daughter. He also brought some supplies to find more batteries. He went downstairs again. The silent streets were now filled with corpses. Seeing them foaming at the mouth, he instinctively tightened his mask, then crawled under a car and collected several extra batteries. Just as he was about to leave, he heard a whistle. Curious, he followed the sound and saw a large group passing by. He stepped forward and asked. Turns out they were a military rescue unit. The entire city had fallen. The top officials ordered a sweep before sealing off the zone. The captain noticed his worn-out tank and gave him a fresh bottle of pure oxygen, then told him to follow the team. But the man refused to go. His family was still back home. The captain had no choice but to leave. Just then the man called out and asked for another oxygen kit. He explained his daughter's condition. The gear was extremely expensive, but in the end, the captain gave him another set. When the man got back, he was horrified to see the gas was still rising. They couldn't stay here much longer.